Let's go through the first one you laid out here on the bill of goods. This is guarantees without substance. So I know you've outlined this. What do you mean by that, Trey?
Yeah, so when someone is looking to meet with an advisor, maybe they already have an advisor, maybe they've only had a 401k that they've put into with their employer, they go seeking financial advice, and all of a sudden they're guaranteeing these double-digit returns. This is what I've done the last 5 years. Just look at this. But, I mean, that's 5 years. What could happen next year? If you have that much growth or equity exposure, what could happen that following year when you dump your life savings with really no substance?
Yeah, that kind of scares me. Sometimes people will come to us and like our growth portfolio, they'll say, well, just get it in there and dump it in there right now. And I say, I guess we could, but that's going to look bad on us if all of a sudden that market tanks, and then we got to race those returns out over time to try to get back to even. So yeah, you got to be careful, folks. The bill of goods there is people out there promising high returns that are not guaranteed. Very
Right.
good. Number two, and you know me, I guess I'm a John Bogle fan. John Bogle hated fees and knew about the drag fees would have on your money. But speak to the fact of high fee products. Do you think, let me put it this way, do you think most savers that come to us, or do you think they're really disclosed by the advisors what these fees are?
Not at all. We're often given statements to decipher. So if they're having a hard time reading a statement, they're really not going to dive deep into the expense ratios, what their actual quarterly fees are being billed. We've seen some advisors with using mutual funds, their regular management fees. Folks are spending 2 to 2.5%, and they didn't even know it. They just were told that 1% management fee, and that was it.
Yeah.
But based on the products and the holdings in those accounts, those high fees, even variable annuities, we've seen fees close to 4%. So you have to make 4% to even break even, and it's just kind of a bill of goods.
Interesting, I had a case I was working on yesterday, and we laid out the game plan, and he was not a big proponent of annuities, but I said, sir, half of this money is going into annuities. Now, the annuities I selected for him had no fees. Mm-hmm. These were just fixed interest annuities. And he said, so wait a minute, it was a pretty large case. He said, so half of my money, number one, half of my money, we were going to charge 0.8% on Schwab. He was being charged 1.5% on everything. The other half was going to get zero fees because we got those commissions paid by the insurance company. It was going to be close to $15,000 per year in fee savings. Now, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, so even if you don't think about the returns you'd make on that money, just to save that in fees is huge.
Oh, gosh. Unsuitable investments. Speak to those. What are we seeing more and more with savers and sometimes venturing into stuff that they have no clue what these investments are?
This one's pretty sad. When we see folks come to us, they're in an annuity product or in a real estate investment trust or an alternative investment, and it's like, how did they get in that? And on these applications, we know, I mean, Jennifer Jaggers fills out applications all the time. All the suitability questions, we have to be very specific on what other investments they have, what liquidity they have, what their current income is. And if all of a sudden all this money is tied up in a product that is not liquid, that is far from suitable.
And it keeps us from sometimes doing a job to help them. And a lot of times they don't understand that. They're like, why can't you just take the money? Because as a fiduciary, we can't tap all your money. You've already got it tied up over here. So huge issue. Oh, I like this one. And again, this speaks to this being fiduciaries, lack of transparency. What do you mean by that? And can you give an example of a lack of transparency?
Yeah, I think the most often example that we hear is advisors talking over someone's head. And if you say all this fancy financial speak and you really don't boil it down and be transparent about what exactly they're getting into, and the savers sometimes are a little intimidated to ask the right questions or might not know the right questions to ask, that transparency's gone, and that advisor is just kind of speaking down to the client, and they just believe them. They say, you're the professional, here's my money, I hope you're a fiduciary and you do the right thing for me.
Well, that's good, because that goes to our fifth point.
Yep.
The non-fiduciaries. Now, by the way, folks, if somebody's not a fiduciary, they could still be your advisor. We're not necessarily saying that's impossible, but speak to the fact that if you are working with a non-fiduciary, well, that's one thing. I know you're our chief compliance officer at Tony Walker Financial. They really are not required by law to be transparent. Correct?
Correct.
So speak to the dangers of working with somebody that is not a fiduciary.
Well, in our industry, there's kind of two sides. A representative from a big firm that's kind of selling what the top is telling them to sell. And then there's insurance agents selling products like annuities or life insurance. They are not fiduciaries by law. They could work in your best interest because they're a good person, but they're not regulated to do so. But as a fiduciary, all the forms we have to submit, all the regulation we go through with the SEC, as fiduciaries, we work in our client's best interest. We don't represent Charles Schwab. We represent them, but we don't work for them.
We don't work for them.
Correct.
Yeah.
The insurance companies that back the annuities. But as fiduciaries, especially as we lay these plans out, that's what we're here to do, is explain and educate more so than just tell them what to invest in.
And I think that's really helped us with the split IRA concept, folks. It's a wonderful concept because it gives them the best of both worlds. They have access to their money. They can put some money in the market if they want. They can get CDs through Schwab, all that stuff. And then all of a sudden we've got the annuities over there to kind of back it up.
Right.
So to make sure they don't run out of money. So good stuff.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed that video. If you'd like, check out these other clips. And be sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button for more videos.